My parents want me to trick my fiancé into marrying my twin sister. My twin sister has always been the favorite. Growing up, my parents made me do everything for her. Homework, chores, even her college applications. They said it was practice for when they're gone. I basically raised her while working 3 jobs just to survive. Despite all that, I somehow met Owen. He's kind, funny, and treats me like I actually matter. We met at a coffee shop where I was working my morning shift. He came in every day for 2 weeks before finally asking me out. When I brought him home to meet my family 6 months later, they were amazing. Hugs, compliments, the whole thing. My sister even joked about stealing him. I laughed it off. My dad shook his hand like they were old friends. My mom kept saying how handsome he was and how lucky we were to have him in the family. My sister gave him a tour of the house and showed him all our childhood photos. She pointed out every picture where we looked identical, laughing about how no one could ever tell us apart. Owen was so relieved they liked him because he knew how complicated my family situation was. He'd heard all my stories about being the unpaid nanny to my own twin. We spent that night planning our future, talking about honeymoon destinations, where we'd live, how many kids we wanted. I felt lighter than I had in years, like I was finally allowed to be happy. The next day, my parents called me over for brunch. Owen was at work, so it was just family. I walked in expecting mimosas and wedding planning, maybe talk about venues or color schemes. Instead, the energy felt off. My sister wouldn't look at me. My parents were too calm, too rehearsed. My mom poured me orange juice and sat down across from me. Then she said, "We need you to let your sister take your place at the wedding." I genuinely thought she was joking. I laughed nervously and said that was weird, but my dad backed her up with a completely straight face. They said my sister would never find anyone on her own. She's too shy, too awkward, too dependent. And since Owen wouldn't be able to tell us apart anyway, we're identical twins after all, it made perfect sense for her to just step into my life. They had the whole thing planned out. My sister would show up to the wedding as me. They'd make sure I wasn't there. Owen would marry her thinking it was me, and by the time he figured it out, it would be too late. He'd be stuck with her. Then they'd help me find someone else later. Like Owen was some kind of hand-me-down jacket I could just pass along. I told them absolutely not. That Owen was my fiancé and I loved him. My mom's face twisted into something ugly. She called me selfish. My dad said I was ruining my sister's only chance at happiness. They said after everything they'd done for me, letting me live in their house, feeding me, raising me, I owed them this. My sister finally looked up with tears in her eyes and said, "Please, you know I'll never get this opportunity again. You're prettier, smarter, better at everything. Just give me this one thing." I asked if she was seriously okay with this plan, with tricking a man into marrying her. She nodded. She actually nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I stood up and told them they were all insane. My mom started crying and saying I was breaking her heart. My dad said if I walked out that door, I was no longer their daughter. I grabbed my purse and left anyway. Within an hour, my phone started blowing up. My aunts, my cousins, even my grandmother were calling me cruel and heartless for not helping my sister. They're saying I'm being dramatic and that I should just share my fiancé, like he's a toy we fought over as kids. One cousin texted me saying I was selfish for not thinking about the family's reputation. Another said my sister deserves happiness too. I blocked all of them, every single number. Owen still has no idea how insane they are. I'm not even sure how to explain this to him without sounding completely unhinged. How do you tell someone that your family tried to replace you at your own wedding? That they planned to commit fraud and ruin his life just so your sister wouldn't die alone? Part of me wants to cut them off forever and never look back. But another part of me is terrified they'll try to approach Owen directly. What if they poison him against me? What if they tell him I'm lying and that I'm the unstable one? I haven't slept in 2 days. Every time I close my eyes, I see my sister in my wedding dress standing next to the man I love. I see my parents smiling in the front row like they didn't just try to destroy my entire life. I don't know what to do, but I know I'm never speaking to them again.